to your seat, baby, because this one's a screamer. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
What's going on, Entertainment? So I'm coming to you guys with another video. And who the did I marry? Part 12 through, it's gonna be an hour, okay? So this is the part where she starts off detailing about the ex-wife. I'm gonna be reacting to the whole series. If y'all haven't checked out the first two parts, please do, okay?
His ex-wife used to be friends. Then they started dating and subsequently got married. They got married in California. He had bought a house with the money that he made from arena football. They had apparently gotten married on the downward of the arena football career. Had a nice house. He showed me a picture of the house, showed me pictures.
A lot of you guys are telling me to react to his part. I am.
Inside the house. Remember that? Showed me pictures inside the house. It was a really nice home in San Diego. And basically what happened was that he came home from work early one day and the hiccup, sorry. Came home early from work one day and his wife was sleeping with another man. The man was in the house.
Ooh.
He and the man get into it. Her son, who is about 17 years old in 2020, she had two kids, a daughter and a son. The son apparently was on his way home from school when my ex-husband found his previous wife in bed with another man. So the story goes that he and the guy fought. He kicked the guy out. He kicked his ex-wife out, but told her the kids could stay. The kids are not biologically his. Those are his stepkids. She was like, you must be kidding. Like, I'm not leaving my kids here. The kids are old enough to where they were like, we don't want to go because you fucked up. We don't want to leave. So apparently she leaves. The kids stay with him for a few weeks. And
wait a minute. Isn't that kidnapping unless he adopted them? But then again, they were married. Please, legal entertainers, let me know how that works. Because that is crazy. Not your own biological kids choose the stepdaddy side over yours. That's sad.
Then she gets her own place. The kids move in with their mom. He files for divorce in California. He files for divorce in California, and it was an ugly divorce. She was asking for spousal support, all kinds of stuff. And then it turned into, I'll help you with the kids, not child support, but just I will give you some money for the kids, because apparently he was very close to the kids and he wanted to keep a relationship with the kids. Their biological fathers, apparently there were two fathers, their biological fathers were not in the picture. So the divorce starts out contested and ugly, eventually becomes amicable. Eventually they become cordial with each other. So my ex-husband moved. This is all before he ever met me. So I'm telling you the story of what I was told in 2020. So eventually, about 2 years later, is when his job approached him about an opportunity to transfer to Georgia. And so he took it. New beginning, fresh start. He has family in Georgia. He took it. He told me this story pretty much the second or third conversation we had. So it was always from the beginning that she had cheated. He caught her, and he had filed for divorce, but he was still close to the kids. They still had a great relationship. I've heard him on the phone with the kids, just encouraging them, helping the 17-year-old like with homework. The kids really apparently wanted to meet me, and I was fine with that. He would send them money, if they needed something, because He loved the kids as if they were his own. I'm telling you the story as I was told it in 2020. So let's see, around April or May of 2020, he informs me that his ex-wife has moved to Georgia.
Ooh.
Apparently, she's staying with her sister in Gwinnett County. So she has moved to Georgia. The two kids are now in Georgia. And so when he tells me all this, I'm like, so what's that supposed to mean? Now, I will say this. He never made it seem as if she wants him back. He never presented that. It was always, no, we're cool for the kids. We're cool for the kids.
For the kids, okay? Channeling his inner Tara. Kids that are not biologically his.
But he's never presented that she was trying to get him back. I feel like it's fair to her for me to say that. And again, stay with me. It all comes out. But that was the backstory in regards to the ex-wife, that they got married in California, they divorced in California, and then she eventually moved to Georgia, to Gwinnett County, after he had transferred to Georgia for his job. He did tell me that, every now and then he'll get a text message from her. He told me that he, told her when I was pregnant, he felt like she needed to hear that from him instead of hearing it from the kids. And we got into a bit of an argument about that, but honey, in the big scheme of things, that anyway. So we got into an argument about that. I felt like that's none of her business. But that's the overall backstory of her. So remember, because there will be a quiz, but just remember, he met her in California.
Child, a fucking quiz. We need a Quizlet on this series. What happened when Legion told her about the kids? What happened when she realized the house wasn't closed? Like, we need a Quizlet.
Married her in California, divorced her in California. She moved to Georgia, to Gwinnett County after he moved to Georgia. Are we clear? Okay. Okay. Part 13 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I've kind of given you guys all the backstory. Let's just kind of recap real quick. So I told you how we met. Met in March of 2020.
A lot of y'all was like, why are you looking at her like that? The reason why is because I'm just interested to see where the story is going. I told you I have not watched the full thing. So like the details she was saying in the last story, I'm like, why does that matter? Because I don't know.
Georgia got shut down. I keep saying shut down, got locked down. We decided to quarantine together. I know it was crazy. It was crazy. I really liked him and thought he liked me. So I told you guys how we met. Things moved at a rapid pace. Met in March. Moved in together pretty much end of March, beginning of April. Found out I was pregnant in May. Lost the baby in June. Had to have surgery in July. Started looking for houses. Started looking at cars. All this stuff happened literally between March and in August is when I got my car. So, got a car in August. He paid the down payment for that car, which I was shocked by. And no, it was not a BMW or an Audi. It was a Nissan Altima, but I loved that car at the time.
Yes, for the Nissan Altima. That was one of my first cars ever, and I bought it with my own money, cash, from a nigga in Miami. Big mistake. Okay, that was my own Legion that I was dealing with, whatever the guy name is. Apparently, his last name is McCoy or something like that. Nissan Altimas are extremely bad. The engines are fragile. Okay, and the parts are very expensive at that too. And they're not great lasting cars from what at least I experienced. So damn. Had her looking for an Audi and then had her with an Altima.
So he paid the down payment for that car. Told me he would help me with the car payment. The biggest mistake that I made, and I'll explain why I say this. The biggest mistake I made was that I signed myself up for a car note, where I knew I needed his help to pay the car note. I knew better. My mom has always taught me, do not ever put yourself in a position where you are financially dependent on a man. And all of that went out the window. And the reason why I say that was the biggest mistake is because when I pulled back the layers of this whole monstrosity of life that I lived for 2020 and 2021, it really does boil down to the fact that I truly ended up marrying him more out of fear than anything else. And I'll expound upon that later. But I got the car in August. And by this point I was exhausted of looking at cars. I was mad that I didn't get a BMW X5 dark blue with cognac interior. Um, and I was tired of looking at houses, getting my hopes up, looking at a house and picturing myself in the master bedroom, the kitchen, the island, all that stuff. I'm a visual person, and
I have to look up this car because she keeps mentioning this car and it better be T. This is a BMW Blue with cognac interior. Okay, it is nice. It is nice. Okay. Ah. Oh no, it's nice. X5. No, it's nice. Oh, I see why she wanted it so bad. Damn. How you gonna give her hopes up for a car like that and give her an Altima?
I was tired of getting my hopes up. Um, so now we're going to segue into fall, going into the holidays. Here's what happened. In October, we looked at another house. This house was in Marietta. Absolutely gorgeous. Um, it was gorgeous. I want to say that the house was about $700,000. I really liked the house. I could see myself living there, could see myself cooking there. Um, and so subsequently, my ex husband put in an all cash offer on that house. I watched him put an all cash offer in on the house. Our real estate agent, Scott, called us about 24 hours later, and he said, the sellers love your offer. The offer was an all cash, full asking price offer, 700,000. Let that sink in for a moment. He said the sellers love the offer. They are asking that you show proof of funds so that they can accept the offer. My ex-husband said, I will show proof of funds when they accept the offer. The seller said, great, we'll accept the offer when you show proof of funds. So basically we got into a standoff. Um, and if you're a real estate agent or you work in real estate, I would love to know your thoughts on this. I had asked people in my personal life, like, have you ever heard of this before? And I've had plenty of people who said, I side with the ex husband. I would not show my bank statements until they accepted the offer. And then I had other people who were like, I wouldn't accept an all cash offer unless I verified that the person can pay. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Okay. So our real estate agent called us and was like, guys, the sellers are giving you 2 days to show proof of funds. I had the letter that he showed me from Chase. I sent that to Scott, but that was for a mortgage. The offer was for all cash. So he needed to show proof of funds that he had the cash to pay $700,000. He didn't show it. He refused to budge on showing them proof of funds until they accepted the offer because he was afraid that they were going to create a bidding war. So, what ended up happening was Scott called us and said, I apologize because I didn't do my due diligence as a realtor. He said, before I ever started showing you guys a house, I should have collected your pre approval letter and proof of funds. He said, so at this point, my broker has informed me that I cannot show you guys another house until you show at least us, meaning the real estate firm, until you show us proof of funds. And so I'm just like, well, I'm telling my ex husband, just show them the fucking proof of funds. Like, what's the problem? Um, and so it was a lot of, I find that this is really unprofessional because it's not our fault that you didn't do your job correctly. It got a little ugly and it got uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't understand why you don't show them proof of funds when you clearly just signed a document stating that you're putting an offer in at full asking price. This was the same thing that the realtor was saying. He was like, but you just signed an offer. So what's the problem? Like, you want them to accept the offer
No, he wasn't making no Fortune 500 money like he claimed.
and then you'll show everyone the proof of funds? And my ex-husband, without missing a beat, said yes. So Scott did his best to work with the seller and say, look, accept the offer. He'll show you, he'll open the books, he'll show you the proof of funds. These sellers were like, no, that's not. And it wasn't so much the sellers, it was the seller's agent. Big respect to the seller's agent. But the seller's agent was like, no, that's not how we're doing business. He needs to show those proof of funds before I advise my clients to accept his offer. Period. If he's not willing to do it, we'll go on to the next offer because they did have another offer on the table for it was less than asking price, but they were willing to accept that offer over the all cash offer because those people had basically shown proof. So subsequently, the house fell through. We passed the 2-day deadline. They went with the other offer. Also, at this point,
My
our
bad if I keep looking to the side because my dog is tearing up his toys.
real estate agent, Scott, and I do not blame him for this, pretty much cut all ties because what he, I believe, felt like was, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. And this is not how I do business. So until you guys are ready to show the proof of funds needed to buy a house, you need to get yourself another agent because we were already about 20 to 25 houses deep by this point. We had already put in 2 other offers, they fell through. And now here we are with this house. And once again, it fell through. Okay, so good news and bad news. Number one, this is part 14 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? Bad news, this is going to be the last post for the night. And the reason why, good news, tomorrow's my birthday. So I'm just going to make this video, post it, and then I will pick back up probably Friday because honestly, I truly want to enjoy my birthday tomorrow.
Because I was about to say, I hope she don't do no videos on her birthday.
I just want to enjoy my birthday. All right, so y'all don't be upset. Just, if anything, watch parts 1 through 14, and then we'll be ready for part 15. So the house fell through in October 2020. And what I told him was, I said, I don't want to look at another house. I don't want to talk about cars. I want to get through the holidays because it was going to be a holiday season where I could not celebrate with my family because of COVID. So I said, I just want to get through the holidays. I want to get through the end of the year. and we'll revisit stuff in January. I was very calm when I said it. No argument, nothing like that. Um, and he said he understood. I just, a lot of what fueled me staying in this situation really was the fact that number one, I didn't want to be alone. Number two, I didn't want to look stupid um, by having the relationship end so quickly for everyone to be like, we told you something was up. Um, and number three, I was ready to get married. And that, what ready to get married fueled a lot of stuff. Um, and again, I was still making my audio diaries. So listening back to it, I knew something was wrong. I admit that. I knew something was wrong. But what I thought it was, truthfully, was like, why does it seem like there's always something? Like, why can't we just go ahead and get the house? Um, why is it always something? Why can't I just get the BMW? It still didn't dawn on me how deep this something went. And for the people who keep asking, I'm going in order of events. So, yes, there will be a video where I explain how everything came out and what came out, what was true, what was not true. It's coming. I'm just getting all of this out in order. So I told him I didn't want to look at a house no more. I didn't want to talk about houses. Do not mention the word Zillow. Do not mention the word realtor. Nothing. Let me just
At
get
this point, with the way he lying about money, he gonna mention to apartment.com
through the holidays. And for myself, the question was, what do you want to do? You want to stay with him? Or do you want to cut your losses? And the part that kept me constantly second guessing myself was, what if he's not lying?
What Jasmine said, Jasmine Sullivan said, writing on the wall. I even know the lyrics, but y'all know what song I'm talking about. Okay?
What if he's not lying? There's no, literally, the conversation I had with myself was, there's no way he is lying about having money. You saw the paper from Chase. They don't just approve $750,000 for a mortgage for anybody. I've seen his checking account. You see how much money's in his available checking. Like I don't think he's lying. I don't think he's lying about that. But what is it? Is it that he doesn't trust me? Like, I second guess myself so much. Is it that he doesn't trust me? Is it that maybe he doesn't really want to get married? Like, what is it? Because I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I know that he's having conversations about move the money from this account to that account. I know he's paying my car note and all these bills. Like, clearly this man is making money. I know that I saw the promotional, the letter from HR that states his new salary is 200 and something thousand. Um, and I remember thinking, like, God, what am I missing? I'm missing something. But what is it? Because I know what I've seen. I know what I have touched. I have physically touched these papers. Like, I know how to read. So what is it that I am missing? He's close to his family. He talks to them all the time. He's just a regular guy that just likes to watch NFL football. He leaves me alone when I want to watch Georgia football. Um, he's paying the bills, groceries. I haven't had to worry financially since I've met him. And as a woman who had lived on her own, paying her own bills, my God, that is the most intoxicating feeling when you meet a guy who just takes your stress and your worry away financially. But the downside is he took away the stress and the worry financially away and instead brought a mental fuck job I've never in my life had experienced. And I could not put my finger on it. I couldn't really talk to anybody about it because I'm a big believer in what happens at home stays at home. So I didn't talk to my
And
girlfriends
this is
about it.
where the Black community and Black families are destroyed. Y'all want to keep secrets behind closed doors. Uh-huh. Y'all see something going on, a family member being touched, a family member having a mental illness, a family member stealing, a family member robbing. Y'all won't say anything. And then when stuff goes down and hits the fan, now everybody want to talk. That's why we struggle as a Black community. Everybody's so hush hush.
I didn't talk to my family about it, but I just remember being like, what am I missing? What am I missing? Um, so we did not talk about houses. We did not look at cars. We didn't do any of that for November, December. And he came to me like around Thanksgiving, and what I thought was a very open, loving conversation. And in that conversation, he was like, okay, I know I have fucked up. I know that things are not feeling too strong right now. He was like, I want us to get married. I want a home. Um, I will show you whatever you need to see to put you at ease. Um, he was very like contrite. He was very just like, what do I need to do to put your mind at ease so that you know I'm in this and that I want this and that I love you and I want you to be my wife. Um, so I was like, show me your accounts. He showed me his checking. He showed me one of his savings. He showed me a Chase savings. Um, he did not show me the offshore. And he did not show me the US bank. So he showed me those two accounts, checking and Chase savings. So I knew that there was money. What I saw in those accounts, there was money. I told him, I was like, if we're going to buy a house, I want it to be through the mortgage on Chase. I don't want to deal with this proof of funds shit no more. I said, I do not want to look at another house until the beginning of the new year. He said, okay. That is when we then had a conversation. So I guess I lied because we are going to have a part 15 or 16 tonight. But that is when we then had the discussion about marriage. And that is where religion came into play. Yeah, I'll give y'all the other part tonight. Stand by. Okay, part 15. Who the fuck did I marry? So in December of 2020,
Oh, the
around the beginning of
audio.
December, we had a conversation, kind of a come to Jesus heart to heart conversation. And both of us had grown up in the church, and the fact that we were not married but living together, the fact that almost had a baby together,
It's the video, you guys, not me. Just so you guys know.
um, bothered both of us. Both of our families, my family and his family, very adamant. Like, okay, y'all either need to get married or y'all need to separate. Um, and so I'm walking around with a ring on, which I'll post a picture of the ring because God, there's so much to unpack. But anyway, walking around with the ring, and so he said to me, whatever I need to do my part to make this work, I'm willing to do. At the same time, it wasn't that I did not trust him as much as it was I felt like I wasn't trusting myself. Because, again, like I said in the previous video, I know what I
The
saw.
thing is with the banking, did you ask him to see the U.S. bank, or did you ask him and he said no? Because if you asked him and he said no, that's a red flag versus you just not asking him.
I know what I've read. I know what I've heard. Um, but fuck, something was not sitting right with me. And every time I would question it in my head, the other side of me was like, okay, you know he ain't lying about the money because you saw it. So you know he ain't lying. Girl, are you that? Like, I remember saying to myself, are you that jaded that you don't even know what it's like to have a decent man? Yes, I really had the audacity to have that thought. So we agreed beginning of December, like, we wanted to be together. I believe I loved him. I believed he loved me. So the decision was made that we were going to get married. It's still COVID, so we had to follow certain protocol. So we filed our marriage license in Fayette County, Georgia, because I you could not get an appointment in Clayton County to save your life. So we filed the marriage license in Fayette County. On our marriage license, it asked the number of previous marriages. He said one, I had zero. It asked for our social security numbers. He
Please
put
don't say he put a CP in.
his social security number down. I put my social security number down. I mentally wrote down his social security number and I did a background check.
Yes.
I did a background check after I had filed a marriage license. Yes, I know, but I did. The background check, nothing came back. It was like no results found. I did a criminal background check, nothing came back. So I thought one of two things. Either I had the wrong social, meaning I wrote down the wrong social, or my paranoia was unfounded. There's nothing wrong with him because he has been always throughout the relationship a big stickler about law enforcement, following the law because his dad was a retired police officer. So this is someone who has been this is a guy who would check to make sure my tail lights were working, make sure my signals were working, make sure my oil was good, make sure I had enough gas in the car. So when the criminal history came back with no results, I was like, well, of course there isn't because the man probably hasn't had so much as a speeding ticket. So felt we filed the marriage license, and then we made an appointment to get married and waiting for the judge to come out of chambers so that she could marry us. And the reason why I'm pausing is because, my God, if I could go back and see that young woman sitting in that lobby. Wow. I know we can't go back in time, but damn, if I could go back in time, I would. I didn't tell anyone I was getting married because I was afraid that we had tried before in September and something came up. So I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't want to get anyone's hopes up. I didn't want to get my hopes up. I know that's bad, but again, said I would be honest even if it's ugly.
I'm a little bit like that too. If I have something coming up that I'm really looking forward to, or I want a good outcome in, I won't tell nobody. So I get her when it comes to that.
I told my mom, my family that we got married, told my friends, they could not believe it. Like my mother was relieved, but she had no idea about what was going on. My aunt was more like, really? You married him? my friend, the one who took me to the hospital for the miscarriage, was like, I wish you would have told me, like, you deserve to have people there, take pictures and celebrate and all this other stuff. Um, and she was like, she's the type of friend, if you like it, I love it. You rock with them, I rock with them. The moment you don't, I don't either. So she was supportive. My other girlfriends were happy for me. They just hated that I had to get married during COVID. Because they were like, we would have loved to have, you know, thrown you a bridal shower and a bachelorette party and all of that. It just sucks that you couldn't experience that. So we got married on a Tuesday. Um, on the way home, stopped and got some wings, went home, and I had to get ready to go to work the next day. And life, I got married January 5th. By January 31st,
This is
I
giving me life is unfair.
still didn't know how deep, but I knew I was in trouble. So, to give you all a very, very, very candid idea, got married January 5th. The normal things that married newlyweds do when we got married completely stopped. And that was not by me. You always hear men talk about, man, now that we're married, she don't. In my case, it was the exact opposite. It was the exact opposite. So, anyway, because this is not a forum to be all R-rated or whatnot, but y'all get what I'm saying. So, we got married January 5th. January 6th, I went to work. It was a lot of people congratulated me because it kind of word got out that I had gotten married. January 7th, um, I filed the paperwork to change my last name. And if you were following me, you can go back like 15, 16 videos, and I talk about how I had to change my name back to my maiden name. But I changed my name within about 3 days of getting married. Um, my attitude was, this is the bed that I made. I'm going to do right by him. I'm going to do right by my marriage. Um, I took marriage seriously. And when I married him, I absolutely married him thinking, I'm going to be with you for the next 40, 50 years. So we're going to have to figure this shit out. That was my mindset. I did not get married to turn around and be divorced in 6 months. But I got
Ooh,
married January 5th,
I thought they were married longer than that.
2021. And by January 31st, I knew I was in serious trouble. So that is where we are. The next set of videos, the next set of all this will be me talking about how things went downhill before it crashed and I found everything out. In the meantime, tomorrow is my birthday. So happy birthday to me. The fuck did I marry? This is the interlude, basically. Um,
At this point, this is an album, an audio book.
I'm not
The girl has an interlude.
recapping on this video. I'm just
Who
kind of
the did I marry? Who the fuck did I marry? Who the fuck did I marry? She might as well just insert a soundbite with it.
answering some stuff that has been written to me. Someone was like, "Why are you airing your business out on social media?" It's a valid question. For me personally, I feel like this was traumatic to experience, to live through. And I'll expound on that on another video. The aftermath of the toll that this took. Um, Honestly, and I know some people are going to be like, that sounds crazy. It is kind of cathartic to get this out because I cannot tell you how much of this has been internalized since 2020. Also, I don't want to seem like a cautionary tale to other women or to men for that matter, but to my sisters, to my ladies, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, doesn't matter. If something does not sit right with you, investigate it. I cannot stress that enough. If just one woman watches these videos and she's like, you know what, something don't sit right with me, let me look into this, um, then it was worth it. Yes, it is a Lifetime movie. Yes, it is Netflix. Yes, it is crazy. Yes, it is
You better manifest.
hilarious also. Um, and I understand all of those reactions. As someone who lived it, um,
It's a horror.
it was traumatic. But I feel like, God, it feels good to finally admit um, what the fuck I went through. And again, by the time this is uploaded, I'm only to January of 2021, right after getting married. So when I think back on it, there's things that I'm very, very grateful for. There are things that I'm just like, why did you not pay attention? Why did you not question? And the sad part is I can't even begin to tell you. I don't remember the woman I was before I met that man. I don't remember. Um, because going through something like that, it changes you. And I've seen some women in the comments who were like, I was married to a habitual liar. I was married to a pathological liar. My baby daddy's a pathological liar. And my heart goes out to them because until you have dealt with someone so depraved, you you really don't quite know how bad it can get. Um, so I'm fully aware that this was a risk
I have
putting
an idea because this has kind of inspired me. I'm not gonna say it because the girlies let us steal. So just stay tuned. That's all I'm gonna say.
this out on social media, telling my story, my truth, and really kind of being like, look, this is what I went through. I made dumb decisions. I overlooked things I should not have overlooked. I argued away things I should not have argued away. Um, I can pinpoint exactly the moment I should have left. I still feel like God is sitting on the throne and he's like, I never planned for your monkey ass to marry him. I never even planned for you to go out and date with him. That's why I blew your tire. But you
Ooh.
hard headed and you went anyway. And then I tried to go ahead and show you signs. You ignored them. Like, I feel like God did everything to help me as his child be like, this is not who I created to be your helpmate. And I was like, God, you taking too long. I want to get married. You taking too long. I want to have a family. You taking too long. And these are the consequences that I am paying for basically telling God, you took too long.
Mm.
And I feel like God's grace is sufficient. It is. But at the same time, and I'm not perfect. I mean, not perfect at all. None of us are. But I do feel like when I sit back and I replay the events that happened, I truly cannot believe that was my story because all I wanted was to meet a guy for him to be my best friend, for us to get married, have a family. I wanted someone I could make fun of his big old forehead and he make fun of my nappy head and all my wigs, and yet he was my ride or die. I wanted someone that I could be like, man,
See, she was so stuck on the image versus the actual person, and that's what she tripped up.
help me with these kids, and he helped me with the kids. We had a nice home, we were comfortable. That is what I wanted. And I've said this before, and I say it again. I truly thought, I truly hoped it was my turn. You see the women who are, so happy, and they're in these loving marriages and life just looks good. I really, really wanted it to be my turn. And so I excused away a lot of stuff that I hope the next woman who sees this does not excuse, because I don't wish this on anybody. I don't wish this on anyone, to feel the way I felt the moment I discovered the whole truth. Um, so I just wanted to say that, because I think it's important to try to answer the why is she posting this? Honestly, I was tired of holding it in. I was tired of holding it in. Um, and I hope it helps somebody. Okay, let's all take a deep breath.
Hmm. I'm at the
Let's all
doctor's
get some
office now.
sleep.
But by the way, I feel like this should inspire more people to do more series out like this. That's why I said I'm inspired, because I've thought of some titles that I'm gonna do. So yeah, shout out to her, and I'm glad she got that deal. She.
If you don't have anything to do and you just want to wish me a happy birthday, wish me a happy birthday tomorrow, February 15th. Here for, or excuse me, part 15. Legion and I got married January 5th of 2021. For the first 2 weeks, things were fine. We got into like a routine basically. I would go to work, he would go to work. He was still leaving the house at around 6:15 every morning. He was still on the phone with his brother, the one that lived in Philly, every morning. They would just, that was their time to talk. From what I was told, the brother got off work. I guess he must have worked the third shift for them to talk. He would talk to his brother in Baltimore and the brother in Augusta. Pretty much, just a quick phone call here and there, if not every day, every other day. So everything was pretty much the same. I would talk to my mom almost every day. I would talk to my aunt almost every day. So it was nothing to kind of, that's weird. That's what the morning routine was. He would talk. So I worked at Georgia State Patrol. And said this in a previous video, but again, there were things I said in previous videos that I remember saying, hey, remember that because it's going to come back later. So I worked at Georgia State Patrol. I had been working there for almost 8 years, 7 or 8 years by the time Legion got into the picture. He was fine with the fact that I worked within law enforcement. I'm not a trooper. I'm not a sworn officer. I'm a civilian. However, um, again, his dad was a retired police officer. So he was perfectly fine in the beginning with the fact that I worked for Georgia State Patrol. He had been to my office before. He had met some of my co-workers. Obviously, even with COVID, because I still had to go into the office 2 or 3 days a week, he had been up there. So the friend who took me to the hospital when I had my miscarriage has met him. He and I have been to her home with her and her significant other before. So again, even in the world of COVID, when there were little times where you could get together with people, he has met people in my life. He has met my friend, or that particular friend, and he has met some of my coworkers. So When we got married, the first 2 weeks, like I said, was fine. And then it's as if something snapped. Something just changed. What no, what
We should pray that she didn't end up on the actual show Snapped, because for amount of hours she's gonna be telling, huh?
was totally acceptable before, suddenly little comments were made. Why are you wearing that to work?
Ooh,
You get off at 3:30, so you'll be home by 5, right? Things that had never happened before. He had never questioned what time I'm gonna be home. Um, really, he didn't need to question it because when I'm off work, I leave. So it was never a situation of, oh, I'm gonna just sit around at work and just run my mouth because I have nothing to do. Um, and then it turned into, he would call me every day from work, and I'm going to demonstrate how those phone calls went. But he would call me every day from work. And if he even so much as heard a male voice in the background, he would have little comments to me. Who was that? Are they in your office? You know, man, I never know who's around you because it seemed like every time I call you, I have the hiccup, sorry. It seems like every time I call you, um, there's some man around. And I'm just
he's
like,
gassy a lot.
at first I kind of shrugged it off. I laughed it off because it really truly was absurd to me. Um, but then it became a bit more frequent. And so I really just didn't feed into it because I'm like, I don't know if this is some insecurity. I don't know if this is jealousy because nothing has ever been done to make you feel any sort of insecure type of way. I've never entertained another guy, never flirted with another guy. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. So it is also important to note we got married January 5th. Things started changing around 2 weeks later. And the reason why I know it's 2 weeks is because I had recorded an audio diary on January 21st, is the date of the audio diary. And I talk about how maybe I had unrealistic expectations because it seemed as if things were changing with he and I. So 2 weeks pass. He starts making little comments. End of January comes. He informs me that he wants to start looking for a house again. I had no real desire to go through that process. So, what he decides is that he's going to look for a house for us using his friend, the realtor, the one I did not meet. So he tells me that he and his friend have been talking and he's going to start looking at houses. And what he's going to do is basically, if he feels like it's a house I would like, then he wants to show it to me because he feels like, I know that your attitude really isn't, you're in the mood to look for a house. So I'm going to start looking. And then if I think it's a great house, then, you can come see it. Um, and I remember thinking, that's not that's not gonna work. You're not gonna choose a house without me. He was like, no, I'm not gonna choose the house, but I just think that, me and old boy have been talking, and so he has some houses that he is representing. He wants to show me. So why don't you let me look at it? And if it's worth the time, then I'll bring you to look at it. So he already had some sort of plan in place after talking to his friend about how he's going to start looking at houses. This is the end of January 2021. So I kind of threw my hands in the air and was just like, whatever, because I'm not getting emotionally involved in looking at houses. And for me, that's kind of what it was. I felt like I would see a house, I could picture us living there, and then it gets snatched away somehow, some way. I didn't want to go through that. So the reaction that he wanted, which was for me to throw a fit, I did not do. I was just
Mm.
like, okay, all right. Like I trust you. And remember that I said the reaction he wanted because that's going to come back later. So he started looking at houses. Funny enough, the houses that he looked at, none of them I actually saw. But he would call me and say, I'm at this house in Sandy Springs with the realtor friend. Apparently his realtor friend's name was Scott, not to be confused with the other Scott, the one that was actually helping us that dropped us as clients. I want to make that clear. There were two Scotts. One is the realtor who was representing us, who said, hey, I need proof of funds. If you don't have those proof of funds, I cannot show you any more houses. The other Scott is his friend who he leased 50 to 100 times in front of me. That's the Scott that he said is going to show me this house in Sandy Springs. Apparently the house was like $800,000. So he was like, I think that if I like the house, then I'm gonna bring you out here so you can see it. All right. Now let's go into part 18. Okay, part 18. Who the fuck did I marry? So he
It's gonna be the last part, y'all, for the video.
starts looking at houses in Sandy Springs, Alpharetta area with his friend Scott. Um, I did not see any of these houses. I did not go. I didn't want to go. Um, so what was starting to change is, remember I said before, he would leave the house every day at around 6:15. He would be home every day between 3:30 and 4 o'clock without fail. It was so, I shouldn't say it was annoying, but I could set my clock by the fact that I would hear that garage door open between 3:30 and 4 o'clock every day that he went to work. Even during lockdown, he still had to go to work. His job was only locked down for maybe a week. For me, I was allowed to work from home, but unfortunately, I did not handle it well. And so I would fall asleep and not check email. So my boss was like, yeah, you're going to have to come back to the office because you're not trustworthy. And I wasn't. I mean, I would watch Netflix and not even be on my computer. So I had to start going back to work every day, 5 days a week. Um, and I was, me and another lady were the only two in there because we were the only two who did not handle work from home properly. Anyway, that's another story. So Legion would, he started to not come home by 4 o'clock. He started to come home 5, 5:30, 6:30, sometimes 7 o'clock, because he was saying that he was looking at houses after work with his friend Scott. So it definitely was noticed that things are changing. Um, and I just, at this point, kind of emotionally and mentally, I was just like, I don't know what to do. This is the end of
That's what's so scary about living with somebody. Because goddamn, like they could be good after a little bit, but after a while they'll turn into a menace. Ugh.
January. Remember, I told you in part 15, I got married January 5th. By January 31st, I kind of knew I was in trouble. And by the end of January, sure enough, I knew things were changing in a way that I was like, I hate to sound redundant, but what the fuck is going on? So he's still maintaining the story of looking for a house, looking for a house. I had already let him know my lease is up in August. When my lease is up in August, I am moving to Cobb County. Um, and then my attitude was kind of like, you can go with me or you can stay here. I don't care, but I'm moving. I'm leaving Clayton County. The reason why I was so adamant to move was not because of Clayton County. It was not because of the house that I was in. It was because Legion had started to create this narrative that he was beefing with my female neighbor. He was trying to get me to believe that my female neighbor to the left of me um, somehow was interested in him. And so she would make these little comments, and he would come in the house complaining about her and her music and the fact that she had, different men over to the house. It was driving me crazy. And all of this was kind of starting in January. So when I say that, it really seems like we got married January 5th, and then we had 2 weeks of peace, and then something just snapped. I literally mean something just snapped. So he's looking at houses. Now we're moving into February. February obviously is my birthday month. He did good. He did good to make Valentine. He went all out for Valentine's Day. He went all out for my birthday. My birthday and Valentine's Day are February 14th and February 15th. So um, he went all out on both days. Y'all ain't even gonna believe this story. But I said I would share even when it makes me look bad. So, the weekend after my birthday, and what I mean by that is if my birthday was on a Tuesday, we're talking about Saturday. The weekend after my birthday, he gave me money to go to the nail salon, go get a manicure and pedicure. So I leave the house. I take his car. His car was in the driveway. We had a key to each other's car because, again, we're married at this point. We're talking February 2021. So I take his car and I drive to the nail salon over in Morrow. I'm in the chair getting a pedicure and I get a text message from my husband saying, someone was just at the house looking for you. And I'm like, who was looking for me? Well, who was it? And he said, I don't know. I think it was this is through text. I don't know. I think it was some dude you used to mess with.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I'm telling you, some guy just came to the house looking for you. I told him you were not here. So at this point, y'all, I'm in the chair at the salon. I'm freaking out because I'm like, who the fuck has the audacity to come to my home unannounced, uninvited, talking about they're looking for me? Especially because before I met my husband, I was working the last shift at Amazon as a part-time job. So I had not dealt with, dated anything with anyone for about a year before I met him in March of 2020. So I really was like, who the hell is this coming to my house? So I finish the pedicure, I head home. Once I get home, I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened? And so I'm frazzled in a way. And he's calm. He was like, yeah, it was a black Dodge Charger. They pulled into the driveway, they backed in. They backed in as if they had been here before. So clearly this was someone who's been to your house. He got out the car. He said, I opened the door and I went out there and I said, is there something I can help you with? And he said, the guy said, I'm looking for, and gave him my name. And he said, I'm sorry, she's not here. And he said, he was like, oh, okay. All right then. And just got in the car and drove off. And I was like, my brain stopped working because I'm thinking, who the heck could this be? A Dodge Charger? I was like, are you sure that it wasn't law enforcement? Like, was it the sheriff's office trying to serve me with a lawsuit for a credit card I didn't pay? He was like, no, he was in regular clothes. He was like, and it was not a police car. It was on a marked unit, basically. And so I'm just like, who the heck could this be? And he was like, I know who it was. And I said, who? He was like, I think it was your ex. I said, what ex? He was like, the
Oh my God.
one that you had dated for 2 years. Remember back in like part 3, part 4, I told y'all, he told me about his ex. I told him about mine. I thought we were being honest with each other. So now, fast forward to February 2021, and he's telling me, yeah, I think it was the ex that you had been dealing with for those 2 years before you met me. I said, so you think that he showed up to the house?
She said,
House uninvited after 2 years And he was like, well, whoever it was clearly was comfortable backing into our driveway, getting out the car, and was like, I'm here to see, and gave him my name. Um, and so he was like, she's not here. Is there something I can help you with? And the guy was like, nah, it's cool. And then just got in the car and drove off. So again, brain is like, who could this be? So then Legion says to me, you know what? The way that you reacting to this is real suspect.
Oh.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, you over here freaking out. I told you I took care of it. I told you it was fine. And you over here freaking out, which makes me wonder, what have you been up to? Now, let's go to part 19. Okay, part
I know I
18.
said it's gonna end part 19, but I gotta see part 19 and then we're gonna end it. Cause this is crazy.
Who the fuck did I marry? So he says to me, the way you're acting is real suspect because I told you it was fine. I took care of it. He was like, I ain't even worried about it. He was like, obviously, that nigga didn't know that you now married, that you've moved on. And so now he knows it. But for me, it was the fact that I don't do pop-ups. Don't come to my house unannounced. So if someone has done that, for me, it automatically feels like a violation and it feels like it needs to be addressed. So it was not as simple as I already took care of it, it's fine, let it go. Nah, we ain't letting nothing go. Because you don't have my permission to show up to my house. And before this turns into something where I'm gonna be on Fox 5 News, I need to address that with you because that is not okay. So he didn't like the reaction I had to the story he told me, where someone basically disrespected my home. And he felt like my reaction was really suspect. So, um, what I'm gonna get into the little details that he did not know about. So he tells me again, it was a black Charger, a black Dodge Charger. They backed into the driveway. A gentleman got out of the car and he asked for me by name. And Legion said she's not here. So um, I asked him, what does the guy look like? And he said, he was like, why does it matter? I said, what the fuck does he look like? So Legion proceeds to give me the most generic description you can give. He was like, well,
Brush cut in black. Sorry. This is crazy.
he was shorter than me. Ex-husband is about 6'3", 6'4". He was shorter than me. He was brown skinned. I said, did he have a hat on his head?
Brown skin honey bun.
Mind you, I understand that before marriage, I was a damn fool. I understand that. But every woman has that moment where you only gonna fool her but for so long. And eventually puzzles start coming together. For me, I felt like moving into marriage, certain things started coming together. So I said to him, did he have a hat on his head? He was like, nah, he ain't wear a hat. So in my mind, I am mentally going down a list of every possible man it could be. Um, and it was only like four men. I had been in that house about 3 or 4 years at this point. So I knew all of the people, and I'm talking about from maintenance down to ex-boyfriends. It was a total of like four men. So when he said that it was a black Charger, I immediately was like, okay, I know that crosses out one. He said he was shorter than him. All of them were shorter than him. I said, did he have a hat on his head? He said, no, that crossed out one because one in particular was a maintenance guy who always wore a hat on his head because he had like a bruise or something and he was just self-conscious about it. So he always wore a hat. That leaves two. So I said, was he muscular or was he skinny? So Legion's getting all frustrated. I said, just answer the question. He was like, well, he was kind of in between. And I said, okay. He was in between. I said, so was he light skin or was he dark skin? He was like, I told you he was brown skin. I said, was he my complexion? He said no, he was brown skin. That eliminates one. So now there's one left. And yes, the one left would have been the ex that I had dated for 2 years. And so he was like, I know it was your ex. I know it was your ex. And I was like, that don't make no sense because the ex that I
Ooh. I'm telling. This is crazy. Now we get into the good shit.
in my mind, I'm saying this, the ex that I had dated, he and I had no contact with each other, and he was not the type to just pop up at your house.
That
That
man
ain't
get
his style.
killed.
Not to mention, and I ain't tell Legion this, that man would not be caught dead driving a Dodge Charger. He hated Chargers because he drove it as a patrol car. So I didn't say anything. I just was like, that's weird. So what Legion didn't know is that at the time I had a security system. So I had a security system where anytime the front door, the garage door, or the back door was open, basically any entry point, anytime it was open or closed, it would send me a text message notification. So when he's telling me all this, I'm looking at my phone and I see a notification where the front door was opened and it was shut all within the same minute. So, for example, if it says front door open at 1 p.m., front door closed at 1 p.m. So, whatever he did was within those 60 seconds. He's telling me the story of the guy got out the car. He opened the door. He went out there. Can I help you? And the guy said, I'm looking for, and Legion said, no, she's not here. And so he said the guy kind of was like, okay. And he was like, all right, thank you. And got in the car and drove off. Legion has also told me that he watched him drive out of the neighborhood, which means because of the way the house was set up, the townhouse, he would have still been outside watching this. I could be wrong, but something in me was like, that would take more than 60 seconds. So for the door to have been open and shut within the same 60 seconds, I was like, mm, mm. Okay. So also what he didn't know, we didn't have a Ring door camera, but my neighbor did.
Mm.
And her Ring door camera caught my driveway. The view of the camera could see my driveway as well as her driveway. And so whoever was coming in the door, our driveways were right next to each other. And then on the other side of it was the grass. So it was a perfect view of my driveway. So I had texted her and I said, hey, were you home? I think I texted her the next day because I said, were you home on Saturday? Da, 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 da. And she said, no, I wasn't. What's up? Everything good? And I said, can you look at your security system and see if there was a car that came to my house um, at such and such time? And I know I did not tell her the reason I was asking, but I was like, is there any way that your security camera caught if someone came to my house at this time on Saturday? She was like, yeah, sure, I'll look. And so maybe about a couple of hours later, she texted me back and said, hey, I looked at the camera, but I didn't see anything. And I said, okay, by any chance, did it catch if someone maybe walked up the driveway? Like maybe it wasn't a car in the driveway, but someone walked up. She said, I didn't see anything with your driveway yesterday. So I said, okay. I knew that something in me again was like, nobody came to the house. So now here we
That's
are,
some sick ass shit. Oh my God.
a month and a half married. And now is when I'm like, why the fuck did he make that up? Because no one came to the house. No black Charger came to the house, pulled backed into the driveway. Nobody got out the car and asked for me. Nobody was looking for me.
Because you had to be a bold motherfucker to do some shit like that. Pull up to somebody's house, and not even pull up, you back in. Let me tell y'all something. Pulling up and backing in is a whole different thing. Backing in is comfort. Pulling in is I don't know where I'm going, I'm lost. Backing in is I know where the fuck I'm going, nigga. Like, that to me is crazy. Sick ass nigga if he made some stuff like that up.
So now I was sitting in the bedroom thinking through all this, and I'm like, why the fuck did he make that up?
And who the fuck?
Because that's what happened. I'm looking at the text messages on my phone where he's telling me someone just came to the house looking for you, but no one came. So what was the purpose of that? And then something said to me, something in me said, he wanted to see your reaction. He just wanted to see the reaction. You had been too calm, and so he wanted to see a reaction. So this man gaslit me like I was Georgia Natural Gas just to get a reaction. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part 20 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry?
And we're gonna end it off there. Oh my God. Now we get into it. Okay. This situations like that I've heard happen to people, not to me, where like somebody will lie to their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever and accuse them of something that they didn't do to see how they react, to see if they're actually doing something because of their reaction. That's basically what he did, and it's low-key a narc ass behavior. So that to me is crazy. I'm glad she caught him in the act though. This has been Caught in the Act, Unfaithful, okay? Let me know what y'all think down below about this part 12 through part 18, okay? Leave your comments down below, and we're out, baby.
No personal thing.